Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest positively impacting our community. Today, I welcome HomeAid Orange County Executive Director Gina Cunningham. The organization advocates for housing as a human right. Since 1989, it has constructed 71 different housing projects. Thank you, Gina, for being on Impact OC.
Thank you, Don. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Gina, I understand HomeAid Orange County's mission is to help people experiencing or at risk of homelessness build new lives through construction, community engagement, and education. Explain how you're able to approach the crisis of homelessness through a collaborative mindset.
Yes, our mission is very unique, Don, and how we accomplish developing housing here in our community is also very unique. It all started with a story back from 1988. Families Forward, they were not called that now, but they're an organization in the city of Irvine that helps families experiencing homelessness, were given an old farmhouse to renovate so they could help serve families who are unhoused. And they came to the Building Industry Association and asked if they would adopt that project as a volunteer project. And they said yes. And it was so easy to get people to donate their time and materials that the idea of our organization was born out of that volunteer project.
Well, who do you help?
We help nonprofits here in the community that are serving people experiencing homelessness. Let's imagine somebody has a vision to provide more units, which is really what we need. Housing is truly the only way to end homelessness. An organization will come to HomeAid and we will help bring a home builder to their project and trades and suppliers that will greatly reduce the cost of construction for them.
So you do it through nonprofits, that they have clients that need homes and you help them through the nonprofit.
Yes, our entire goal, Dawn, is to add units into our community. We're also doing some of this on our own. Owning projects is a new program for HomeAid, but it's something that we've got a project coming out of the ground in Santa Ana right now and one that's about ready to break ground in the city of Orange.
So talk about your unique model to construct homes at reduced costs.
Well, if you're a nonprofit that's helping someone experiencing homelessness, your talent is really helping those people get out of crisis. Our talent, because we were born out of the home building industry, is to bring those resources to the table and the talented consultants, builders, architects, trades that can really help bring a project from just an idea all the way to completion.
So share with us some stories.
Well, gosh, we've got so many great stories, and I've been with the organization for a really long time. But if you can imagine someone who may be experiencing chronic homelessness, an adult experiencing chronic homeless are the people that we see on the streets. And that is someone who might have a diagnosed physical or mental disability, and they may have been homeless for a year or more, decades or more, and most of you have never seen someone who hasn't lived around four walls with a roof in a very long time, and you hand them a set of keys and you see the joy in their face to believe this is mine and I can actually be housed now is such an incredible feeling, and it's why I do the work I do every day.
So talk about some of your completed projects.
One we are completing just now in the city of Tustin is a 7-unit apartment building in partnership with Family Promise of Orange County that will help serve families on an interim or bridge housing basis, get them off the streets into stability, and then have them help them work on their next housing option. We've got a 17-unit permanent supportive housing project that is just about ready to come out of the ground or go vertical. It's actually their foundations being poured this week, and that will serve our chronic homeless population. 16 units for adults experiencing chronic homelessness. Our 6 units that we're developing in the city of Orange is kind of this labor of love project. We are purchasing 3 old homes that are historic from the city. We are renovating them back to historic standard, and we are adding 3 accessory dwelling units into each backyard so we can turn 3 units into 6, and that will help serve families and our growing senior population. I know we talked offline earlier, Dawn, about senior homelessness is really on the rise in Orange County and probably across our nation. That is the highest segment of people experiencing homelessness in our community right now. We had a 64% increase in people 62 years and older experiencing homelessness.
So let's jump to a special event that's happening October 7th at the Balboa Bay Resort.
Yes, that's our Hope and Housing Gala, and we invite everyone to attend. You can go on our website to learn more. Go to homeaidoc.org /events. And this is our annual gala where really we bring the community together. We want to celebrate the work that everyone's really done to help end homelessness, and of course, raise money for our important mission.
Let's talk about the process to get homes built because you do it with a lot of partners.
We do. It takes an army, a village, as the old saying goes, to really be able to bring a housing project together. As most of us know, it takes years to develop. And unfortunately, unless we can figure out how to remove some of those barriers, it will continue to take years to develop. But we are being very aggressive at our organization. We are taking on more projects than we have in our first 30 years and trying to really just get out there and to add as many units as we can because we know that is truly the only way to end homelessness.
But the partners you have are builders. Let's get specific about some of the partners that you
Oh
work
gosh,
with.
we have great home builders. So for that 7-unit apartment building we're building in Tustin, that has been done by our builder captain Brookfield Residential. It was designed by Kevin L. Crook Architects. The projects that we're doing in Orange, the old homes, AO is doing the construction documents for us. Studio 195 did the beautiful design, and New Home Company and Landsea Homes are our co-builder captains on that project. In the city of Santa Ana, we have City Ventures, which is another great home builder that has really taken the reins with that project, and their VP of purchasing is really knocking down those in-kind donations for us right now. That was a very, very tightly budget project. As interest rates were rising, we were chasing loans, and it was almost not able to pencil, but because City Ventures is doing such a great job in reducing costs, we're going to get that one completed hopefully early next year.
So when you work with a nonprofit to help build homes, are you aware of who the clients will be?
We aren't, because we're one step removed from that. HomeAid's whole job is to come in and lock arms with that nonprofit, help them through the design, maybe the entitlements, and really take over the construction while they are focusing on finding the clients that are the most vulnerable that will need to come into that housing first.
Can you share with us the clients that you believe have been helped? The demographics of the clients that you believe have been helped?
Yes, I love to share a story. And for those that might be listening that know HomeAid, you might have heard of Jenny, the Galindo family. This was the first family to come into an emergency shelter that HomeAid built and opened about 6 years ago. She was a mother of 4. She had been in and out of homelessness for years. Her story begins when she was a young teenager and she was raped by her stepfather. And unfortunately, things spiraled out of control for her after that. And when she was in her late 20s, she decided to break that cycle. And she was the first mom to come into our emergency shelter. She has currently been housed now for 6 years. Went back to school, furthered her education, wanted to really break that cycle of poverty and homelessness for her boys. And I'm proud to say that she's still successfully housed. She's a woman that I am still very close to. And she really was just not able to make as much money as others. And so she has struggled with really being able to afford housing here in Orange County.
So with the funding that you get, is it strictly through fundraisers or do you get a lot of people who donate?
Both. So we look for a lot of private donations. Our Hope and Housing Gala helps us raise the money that we need to keep our lights on, so to speak. And we also have been starting to partner with government agencies. There's funding out there to really help build affordable and permanent supportive housing. And so we're starting to go after some of those grants and really work with local government and state government to really help develop units.
Now, when you build homes, do people have to pay rent for those homes?
If they're affordable, yes. if they're going in on an emergency basis or they need interim or bridge housing for, let's say, 3 to 6 months, families or individuals do not have to pay for that housing.
And it's usually a nonprofit that will help facilitate that.
Yes. Our nonprofit partners, there's probably about 30 of them here in Orange County that we have done housing projects with, and they will work with those clients. They will raise the funds that they need to really give them the wraparound services they need to get them out of homelessness.
You talk about affordable housing. What is it?
Well, we really need to change that word, call it attainable or just housing for all. We live in a beautiful county, the sixth most populous county in this nation, and we do not have housing for everyone that lives here. People that might not be more than a service worker, they might be working a couple of minimum wage jobs. There isn't housing that is affordable for them, Dawn, and it's unfortunate that we live in such a beautiful place, but people oppose housing projects a lot. NIMBYism, not in my backyard, is a real issue. And people are afraid to allow high density housing in their neighborhoods or housing, I hear all the time, for those people. And I like to remind people that those people are people that just don't have as high of an income as you, but they do deserve to have a home.
So certainly you've been around when people got to take the keys and open the door. What's it like?
It's emotional. You can see the surprise and the relief on people's face that they get to live somewhere that's this beautiful and safe, and no one's going to kick them out tomorrow or maybe ignore them if they walk by them on the street where they were sleeping in their tent or under a bush. It's an amazing moment when you see a family actually have a sense of coming home. A family might have been sleeping in their car for months or a year. We call family homelessness the hidden homeless, because if you have children, you're afraid someone might take them away if you're experiencing homelessness, and that's actually not the case. But the sense of relief and just the sense of joy and gratefulness that people have. Thank you for building me and allowing me to have a home that I can thrive in.
So name some of the nonprofits you work with.
Oh gosh, we work with Mercy House, Families Forward, His House, the Orange County Rescue Mission, Casa Teresa. Don't get mad at me if I don't say your name. All my friends out there listening going, why aren't you saying my nonprofit? But we've worked with most of the nonprofits here in the Orange County community. If they are serving people experiencing homelessness, HomeAid has either worked with them on a housing project or through our annual diaper drive. I mean, we've collected over 12 million diapers in the last almost 20 years that we've ingested back out into the community. So if you haven't worked with housing with us, you've definitely been the recipient of some of the resources we've been able to bring you.
Well, talk about some of those.
Well, we do an annual diaper drive around Mother's Day. Every year we invite the community to do collections and then to deliver them to a big delivery day, usually that first Friday in June. That helps really serve families that have young children. We do an annual Thanksgiving meal drive in November every year, where we ask companies, schools, organizations to collect non-perishable food items, gift cards for a protein that we're able to box up and distribute back out into the community. Last year, we collected nearly 500 meal boxes, so serving about 2,000 people during the holidays.
Do you need help? Do you seek volunteers? Do they get to help build?
We do. We don't do hands-on building like our other friends do out there. We use all professionals to do our home building, but we love people to get involved, whether it's coming to do some light cleanup or painting at some of our former projects, landscape opportunities, to get involved in our 2 drives that we do each year to bring in essential items, or come and serve a meal at the emergency shelter that we own in the city of Orange and come up with an activity to play with the kids. There's always a way to volunteer, and you can find more of those opportunities and sign up on our website.
So you've been with the organization for over 2 decades.
You coming into almost 3, Dawn.
3
Yes,
decades.
yes.
Okay. So how do you feel knowing that you've been able to help the homelessness?
Well, I know you and I were talking offline earlier, and I don't really think of this as a job anymore. I've been with HomeAid almost 27 years, really serving my community, helping people who are unhoused is something that I have always had a heart for my entire life. My mother, if she was standing here, would tell you most children bring home stray pets. My daughter brought home stray people because I believe that people should always have arms wrapped around them and be able to be in a safe and dignified place to sleep.
And those that you serve, how do they treat you?
I have never been treated poorly, even with strangers that I'll talk to on the streets, really trying to figure out, can I help you end your homelessness? Most people just want you to say hello and treat them as your fellow human being. And so I've had nothing but great experiences. Now, I have had moments with people that have severe mental illness out on our streets, which is really the population that I want to wrap my arms around and help first. Maybe have a little bit of not so kind moment, but that isn't their fault. They're suffering from mental health. And most of the time, I can get a smile and a hug.
So again, you have a big gala coming up on October 7th. Share with us what's going to happen at the Balboa Bay Resort for the Homemade Hope and Housing Gala.
Well, this is a great fun gala. We love to dress up and invite all of our friends to come by, have a wonderful meal, and we have great silent auction items and live auction items being sold that night. And then we'll all be dancing the night away to Family Style, which is a wonderful local band. And we invite you to come and have a great time with us and just really learn more how you can help make an impact in ending homelessness.
And to get more information from this is
Our website is homeaidoc.org. That's spelled HomeAidOC.org.
from the moment a nonprofit seeks your help, how long does it take to build a home?
Well, it depends. If it's a small renovation, like we're doing now in Huntington Beach with a group called Robin's Nest, they had purchased a home in Huntington Beach, probably reached out to us at the end of last year, beginning of this, and we are under the renovations right now. We'll be done by November. So if it's a project that's ready to go, that work can be done turnkey. Other projects that might be acquiring a piece of land and really working through entitling that land can take a much longer runway.
I would imagine with the cost of materials, it's very tough to fund these projects.
Yes, material cost rising through the pandemic and then inflation has caused projects to be a lot more costly. But the homemade model and reducing those costs through in-kind donations has really helped keep them at an affordable rate.
But you've had regular suppliers.
We have regular suppliers, people that have worked with us for years, but those donations are smaller, Dawn, and our donation has been suffering from inflation. Our individual donors are giving less, not giving as often, and material costs escalating. Plus, the shortages that we have dealt with that have paused construction have made it a lot more difficult, but we will keep pushing through and we will make it happen anyway.
Do you have any idea how much of a dent you've made in the homelessness in Orange County?
Well, I talk to people all the time about if there's a project that you know about that has housing, HomeAid has probably had a piece in that. Probably 2/3 of the units that are out there. I know that we've added about almost 1,700 beds in the county in our 35 years. I know that our projects in turn help about 10,000 people annually when you look at the math and what the rate of stay is at those projects. And so I know that we are nearing probably helping over 90,000 people since we started this back in 1988. And I know that the community would not be as impacted had HomeAid not been formed.
What do you see as the future for Homemade Orange County?
Really looking how we can build more units faster. So that is my vision as our executive director. When I became our executive director 4 years ago, I said, I will not retire until if someone is homeless today, they are housed tomorrow. So we have a lot of work to do, Dawn. I have a lot of work to do.
When you say faster, what would you like to see?
Well, I would like to see more by right construction. We were able to build an emergency shelter because of a Senate bill that was passed throughout the entire state of California, requiring that every city come up with an ordinance if someone wanted to develop emergency housing for people experiencing homelessness. What does that look like? And that gave us by right construction. As long as we came in and followed that ordinance, we could build that emergency shelter. If we could beg our electeds to work on more by right development, especially as it pertains to affordable emergency and interim bridge housing, we could do this a lot faster.
And I take it that no one would know that a house that you built was made from HomeAid. It looks like any other house, correct?
It does. We've come into many neighborhoods that might have been blighted. We bring a beautiful development into that community. There isn't a big sign outside that says people experiencing homelessness live here. It is meant to blend in with the community and to be a home, just like the next door neighbor's home. So you would never know that there are shelters, interim bridge housing, or affordable housing in your neighborhood unless you knew that it was being built.
So a person who's living in a HomeAid Orange County is living in a special home, but they don't know that it was this kind of a home.
No, they're all designed to go with the architecture within that neighborhood. The one that we're building in Santa Ana really marries the Spanish architecture that's in the Lacey neighborhood area near the train station. And it's going to blend right in. You are not going to know that there are people that were once experiencing chronic homelessness living there. It's meant to be that way, Dawn. It's just part of the community.
Now, will those homes always be for the homeless? If a person moves out, will then go to another person who was homeless?
Yes, that project in particular, we have a 99-year ground lease with the city of Santa Ana and a 55-year covenant that it has the affordability of 30% and 25% below area median income.
That must be extremely gratifying knowing that.
It's extremely gratifying knowing that long after I'm gone and a lot of the people that have supported that project are gone, that it will still remain what it was intended to be built for.
And the vibe at the gala for October 7th at the Balboa Bay Resort is?
Well, I guarantee it's going to be a fun vibe. We always have a great event, have very minimal talking. It's really a place where people may not have seen each other for the last year. And there's always a lot of excitement and energy, and we always stay and dance.
The website to get to that is?
HomeAidOC.org.
Thank you, HomeAid Orange County Executive Director Gina Cunningham, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.